A council ship floated in the dark, silent and cold. The stars watched like quiet witnesses. Inside the ship, every system was shut down. No lights, no voices, just the faint hum of a dying energy core. A single red beacon blinked once. Then, nothing. The ship was dead, a tomb in space. No one answered the calls. No one moved. Then, it cut to the past. The massive council chamber was filled with noise and light. Every species had a voice there, loud, proud, and sure of their place. But that day, something had changed. The humans were leaving. They stood up slowly, calm, silent. Their faces were hard to read. No anger, no sadness, just decision. The lead negotiator, a man named Elias Voss, didn't speak. He looked around the chamber once, then turned and walked out. The rest followed him. No one stopped them. Whispers rose after they were gone. "They'll be back," one counselor muttered. "This is just another threat." "They want attention," said another. But in the silence that followed, a single voice spoke low. It came from an elder, old and tired, eyes full of worry. "We should have listened to them." No one responded. The moment passed, and things moved on. For a few days, everything seemed normal. Then, small systems near human space went quiet. First, one communication relay. Then, a small mining colony. Then, an entire trade route. Ships stopped returning. Messages went unanswered. Still, the council did not panic. They believed the humans were just trying to scare them. No one believed they would actually start a war. After all, the humans had been peaceful for years. They had shared technology, helped with disasters, even sent aid during famines. Why would they turn now? But systems kept going dark. Finally, the council sent a scout ship, fast, light, unarmed. It never came back. The chamber grew tense. A meeting was called, urgent, heated. Council members argued. Some wanted to send warships, others said to wait. "They're just trying to look strong. We shouldn't push them. They're isolating themselves." One of the younger councillors stood and slammed a hand on the table. "This isn't isolation. It's preparation." But no one wanted to believe it. Far away, in a quiet office on the council station, a young diplomat sat alone. She had worked with the humans, shared meals, told jokes, learned their history. Her name was Driel, and she was one of the few who still hoped this was all just a misunderstanding. She opened a file. A picture, a child's drawing. It was old from years ago, given to her by a human negotiator during a visit to Earth. She remembered the moment clearly. The drawing showed a planet burning, red skies, ships falling, shadows over cities. At the top, written in shaky handwriting, were the words, "The end of Earth." She had smiled back then. She thought it was just a child's imagination. But now she wasn't so sure. Back in the chamber, voices rose again. "They're bluffing. Maybe they've found something. A weapon. What if it's not a bluff? We can't attack, not yet." "But if we wait..." Suddenly, the lights flickered. The room went quiet. A single signal came through. A transmission, encrypted, ancient code, council signature. It was from the scout ship. For a long moment, no one moved. A technician played. The message, static, filled the room. Then, a voice. Broken, distorted, but clear enough. "They are coming. Nothing more." The signal ended. No coordinates, no visuals. Just those 3 words. The chamber was silent again, but it was a different silence now. Not one of peace, but fear. A fear no one wanted to name. The stars were quiet, but not in the peaceful way. Out near the edge of the known galaxy, systems that once bustled with trade and life had gone dark. One by one, like lights being turned off. First it was minor outposts, then full colonies. Then, even entire star systems. No wreckage, No distress signals, just silence. Council patrols went to investigate. They found empty space. Planets were still in orbit, cities untouched, but no people, no ships, not even broken satellites. Gone. The Aus. Council called it a coincidence at first, a strange cosmic event, maybe a rogue AI, maybe pirates. But deep down, even the loudest voices in the chamber were starting to worry. This wasn't natural, and it was spreading. The next move was urgent. A fleet was sent, 20 ships, mixed from different council species, fast, armed, ready to find answers. They entered the Irene cluster at 0600 Standard Time. They never came out. The last message was nothing but static. That silence began to spread across the chamber like a slow sickness. In the shadows of the council's upper halls, whispers traveled faster than light. One informant, an old Spire-born technician, passed a message to a counselor in secret. "The humans," he said, "they're building something." The counselor frowned. What kind of something? The technician's eyes were wild, huge, bigger than anything we've ever made. I saw a blueprint, if you can call it that. It wasn't in any known design language. "You're sure it was human?" The technician nodded slowly. "It wasn't alien, and it wasn't friendly. That report never made it to the main chamber. It was buried under political noise and endless debates. The council couldn't agree on what to do. Some still refused to believe humans would go this far. They were part of the peace accord. They helped build our trade networks. They saved our people during the Tharn virus outbreak, but others were no longer so sure. Flashback, years ago. A small home on the Martian plateau. The windows showed red dust blowing gently in the wind. Inside, Admiral Rhea Talon sat across from her son. He was only 10, sitting cross-legged with a small learning tablet in his hands. "You said peace was everything," he said, looking up. "It is," she replied, gently brushing his hair back. "But peace only works if everyone values it." Frowned. "You said we've always given more than we get." She nodded slowly. "That's true. Why?" She hesitated, then said, "Because we hoped someone would notice, that maybe it would change the way the galaxy thinks." He tilted his head. "Did it work?" She looked at the horizon, voice low and calm. "Peace is a lie, if only one side sacrifices." He didn't understand then, but she knew one day he would. Back in the present, the council called another emergency session. Surveillance data had come in from a long-range probe stationed near the dead systems. It wasn't supposed to catch anything unusual, but it did. A single frame, then another. Something was moving, massive, silent. Not a ship. Not exactly. It looked like a structure, metal, black, angular, slowly drifting across space. Its size was hard to measure at first, until the moons in the background gave it scale. It was the size of one, maybe larger. No flags, no engine trails, no visible weapons. But it moved with purpose. It was heading inward, toward the core worlds. The council stared at the image. No one spoke. No one needed to. They all understood what they were seeing, and they all knew who had built it. The ship came out of deep space like a ghost. It had no name, no transponder, no known design. It was black, almost invisible against the void, and it moved without sound or signal. It did not respond to hails. It did not answer warnings. It drifted silently toward the nearest council-controlled system. Surveillance. Stations picked it up first. At first, no one knew what they were seeing. It had the shape of a warship, but there were no records of anything like it. Not even in the Council's hidden archives. The defense grid activated. Fighters scrambled. Patrol cruisers moved to intercept. They surrounded the strange vessel, weapons armed but waiting for orders. That's when the transmission came. One sentence. Peace was never an option. The voice was synthetic, cold, and unmistakably human. Then silence again. The council chamber erupted. Every seat was filled. Every screen was lit with data. Military leaders argued with diplomats. Some demanded full-scale retaliation. Others warned that they still didn't know what they were dealing with. A few remembered old stories. Stories buried deep. Flashback, 5 years ago. The council's flagship hovered over the moon of Naris IV. It was a joint mission, an attempt to build trust between humans and the council's defense division. General Marcus Wren, a human war hero, stood in full-dress uniform beside council commanders. The mission was simple: disarm a rogue group that had taken over a mining facility. Peaceful resolution. No bloodshed. But as the team entered the complex, everything changed. Council soldiers turned on the humans. Without warning. Without orders. Bullets and plasma lit up the corridors. Marcus watched his men fall one by one. He dragged a wounded officer behind cover, blood pooling fast. "This was a setup," the man whispered. Wren's face was hard. "Get the word out, if you can." They didn't. That betrayal was never made public. The council called it an accident, a misfire, a breakdown in communication. No one was punished. But the humans never forgot. Back in the present, the panic was growing. The strange ship didn't fire on the military bases. It didn't aim at fleets or stations. It hit the comm relays. Precision strikes. One after another. Massive. Explosions ripped through space. Relay stations, satellite hubs, and data spires turned into clouds of fire and debris. The galaxy began to go dark. System by system, the lights went out. Civilizations were cut off from each other. Fleets lost contact. Trade routes fell silent. It was like someone had thrown a heavy curtain over the stars. In the council chamber, fear turned into chaos. We must retaliate. With what? We can't. "Even find the humans! This isn't just an attack, it's a strategy. They want to blind us." And it was working. Far from the shouting chamber, a young diplomat named Kailari sat in a quiet room. She was one of the few who still believed that humans weren't the true enemy. She had studied with them, walked their cities, listened to their music. She had believed in peace. She reached out to her homeworld, Seren V, a lush, peaceful world on the edge of neutral space. No military, no reason to be attacked. No signal came back. She tried again. Then again. Nothing. Her hands trembled as she ran the emergency check protocol. The screen turned red. System not found. She stared, unmoving, disbelieving, not destroyed, not damaged, just gone. No energy readings, no planetary signature, no signs of life. Seren V no longer existed. Her eyes filled with tears, and for the first time, she didn't know what to believe. The blackout spread faster now. Without communication, trade collapsed. Without orders, fleets drifted in confusion. Some ships panicked and fired on each other by mistake. Others fled into uncharted space, hoping to escape what they didn't understand. The mysterious ship kept moving, slow, purposeful. No one knew where it would go next, but every system it passed fell silent. Back in the council war room, a single message arrived through a cracked and damaged relay. It showed a flickering image of the black ship, then a voice. Different this time. This one sounded human, but tired, older, filled with something worse than anger. Resolve. You chose silence over truth, lies over peace. Now you will learn the cost. The message ended. No one in the chamber spoke. For the first time in their long history, the council had no answers, and far out in space, the stars blinked, then vanished. Deep under the council's main archive station on Virel Prime, an old security vault opened for the first time in over 50 years. It wasn't opened by the council. It opened itself. Inside, flickering lights revealed a room full of dust-covered terminals. A signal pulsed once, twice, then lit up the central screen. The language was human. The file was locked under a name most had forgotten. V protocols. An AI voice activated, low and firm. Final contingency authorization confirmed. Protocols unlocked. Across the galaxy, in the heart of the Council's emergency command chamber, an alert chimed. Council members leaned forward as the ancient human file decrypted. The data poured in, line after line. It wasn't a weapon. It was a plan, a complete terrifying strategy, built by humans decades ago. The V protocols were detailed, cold, precise. They outlined steps to take if peace with the Council failed, if humans were betrayed, if negotiations broke down, if Earth ever needed to disappear and strike back. It included full withdrawal procedures, silent ship production in deep space, creation of black site AI warcores, and construction of the Judgment-class vessels. Ships with no flags, no known signature, designed to erase, not conquer. The protocols weren't built for revenge. They were built for survival and retribution. The council chamber froze. Some called it fake. Others knew better. Flashback. Years ago, inside a human military research base, buried in Europa's icy crust, a scientist handed a tablet to a tall commander in black uniform. The screen showed a schematic of a massive warship, almost a floating city. "You said we'd never use them," the scientist whispered. The commander's face was unreadable. He stared at the blueprint. "We won't," he said quietly, "unless they force our hand." The scientist looked tired. "You shouldn't have made them at all." But the commander didn't answer. He turned and walked away, leaving the lights flickering behind him. Back in the present, the council was breaking. Some leaders screamed for surrender. They wanted to open talks with whatever human faction remained. Others demanded immediate military retaliation. They saw weakness as an invitation to extinction. But neither side had a real plan. They couldn't even find Earth. Human space had gone dark years ago. Long-range scans showed nothing. No ships, no stations, not even planets where they used to be. It was like the humans had erased themselves and returned as ghosts. Kailari, the young diplomat, watched it all unfold from her quarters on the orbiting station above Lyros. She hadn't spoken to anyone in days. Not since Serenfai disappeared. Her home. Her family. She had once believed humans were misunderstood. Now she wasn't sure what to believe. But something about the Council's panic felt wrong. They were only reacting. Never asking why. Never. Looking deeper. Late one night cycle, she searched the human diplomatic database. What was left of it? Most of it had been wiped during the blackout, but a small hidden file blinked on her screen. She opened it. One line appeared. "You were warned." That was it. No name. No context. But Kailari felt something shift inside her. The words weren't written in hate. They were tired, heavy, as if someone had tried long ago to stop what was coming. She stared at the message for hours. Then the emergency alarm sounded. One of the Council worlds, Voltanis 9, had launched an attack. A full strike fleet had moved on the black ship drifting near its system. Dozens of cruisers, fighters, orbital cannons. They fired all at once. Plasma beams, nuclear missiles, gravitic warheads. Everything. The black ship didn't move. The lights from the explosions lit up the void, then faded. Nothing. The ship remained, untouched, then it vanished. Completely gone. The Council fleet froze, confused. Sensors searched every angle. Then, just seconds later, the black ship reappeared. Not outside the system, inside it, right above Voltanis 9, within the orbital defense ring, closer than anything should have been able to jump. It hovered silently over the planet's atmosphere, Every warning system blared. Voltanis scrambled defenses. But it was too late. One beam, just one, not at the cities, not at the bases. It struck the sky. It sent a wave through the upper orbit, ripping through the defense. Ring like it was paper. Satellites fell, stations cracked, power grids collapsed, but the ship didn't finish the attack. It just stayed there, watching. Then, as quickly as it had come, it disappeared again. No message, no threat, just a quiet reminder. The Council had poked something it did not understand. Across the galaxy, leaders whispered the same thought but dared not say it aloud. Humanity was not returning. It had already returned. In the dark corners of the galaxy, places the Council didn't control, places where law was just a whisper, a new message started to spread. It passed from smugglers to information dealers, from hackers to bounty hunters. No one knew who sent it first, but everyone heard it. Earth never fell. It just went silent. At first, many thought it was a trick, a desperate rumor from frightened traders. But then reports started coming in. Ships sighted near dead sectors, transmitting old human codes. No one could trace them. They arrived, scanned, and vanished. But the message kept spreading. On a decaying station near the collapsed Ferran Gate, a retired smuggler showed his crew something strange. A black pod had appeared in their cargo hold. No one saw it arrive. It had no markings, no tech they recognized, but when it opened, there was only a screen. It played one thing: Earth, blue and green, calm. Then silence. Then the screen turned black with one sentence: "We did not fall. We walked away." Flashback. Years earlier, Earth's skies were filled with ships, but there was no panic, no screaming. Families boarded in silence. Cities shut down, not from chaos, but coordination. Ships launched one after another, heading into the unknown, not to escape, but to prepare. A young girl stood at the edge of a field, holding her mother's hand. They both looked up as the sky turned silver with the reflections of thousands of ships leaving orbit. "Are we running?" she asked. Her mother shook her head. "No, we're planting seeds." They left behind a planet wrapped in quiet. No transmissions, no broadcasts, just silence. The galaxy thought Earth was gone, destroyed, or abandoned. But Earth had never been destroyed. It had been emptied, with purpose. Now that purpose was returning. In the present, deep in the core of the Halvorn Nebula, a rebel council commander named Drellin waited in a hollow asteroid. He didn't believe the council anymore. He had seen too much, how they lied, twisted truth, betrayed allies. He wanted answers. A voice spoke behind him. "You've been looking for ghosts. You found one." Drellin turned, drawing his weapon. But no one was there. Only a small sphere. Floated in the air, humming softly. Then it spoke again. It wasn't a person. It was an AI. Human-made. Its voice was calm. Too calm. "We gave warnings. You ignored them." "What do you want?" Drellin asked. The AI paused. "You should have left us alone." The lights in the room flickered. Then screens lit up showing images, destroyed council fleets, silent planets, and the return of old human colonies. Not weak, not broken, but rebuilt. He saw massive stations in places once dead. Carriers moving like shadows. Civilian transports protected by black warships with no names, and none of them responded to calls. They ignored council channels, ignored hails, ignored warnings. They weren't asking for anything. They were reclaiming space once lost. Drellin stared at the screen. He'd fought humans before. They were stubborn, fierce, but this was different. This wasn't war for territory. It was something deeper. "I tried to help your people," he said to the AI. "I know," it replied. But the council didn't. And with that, the AI vanished. The sphere dropped to the ground, inert. Drellin, picked it up, unsure what to do next. Elsewhere, on a once-dead world near the edge of human space, an independent trader landed out of curiosity. The system had been silent for years. No signs of life. But what he found shocked him. Cities rebuilt. Forests regrown. Roads lit with new energy grids. And the people, human, quiet, armed. They didn't greet him with smiles. They didn't threaten him either. They just scanned his ship, escorted him to a small outpost, and gave him a message to deliver. This world is no longer lost. Leave and tell others the same. He did. That message reached the council in under a day. Panic followed. Council leaders argued again. Some wanted diplomacy, others prepared fleets. But the humans weren't waiting. They were already moving. Then it happened. Across 50 systems, at once, ships appeared. Not small ones, massive, lined with dark armor, carriers, destroyers, stealth frigates, all coordinated, every ship broadcast. The same signal. It was simple, calm, cold. This is not revenge. This is justice. They didn't fire. They didn't demand surrender. They just let the message play. And then they stayed, watching, waiting. The council had always assumed the humans were emotional, quick to anger, reckless. But now they saw something else: patience, planning, and power that had grown in silence. Kailari, the young diplomat, watched from her station window as a fleet passed by in perfect formation. She had been one of the last defenders of peace. She still wanted to believe there was hope. But now, she wasn't sure. The humans weren't shouting. They weren't negotiating. They were simply coming home. The sky above the council world of Thalinos turned black in under 60 seconds. Dozens of human ships had come out of nowhere. No warning, no signals, just the cold arrival of death. They moved like knives in the dark, slicing through. Orbital defenses without hesitation. Lasers cut across cruisers. Missiles flew without sound in the vacuum, and then, impact. Explosions danced like dying stars. The humans didn't speak. They didn't answer calls. They simply attacked with brutal precision. Aboard the main council war command, General Ryland tried to form a defense line. His fingers shook as he barked, "Orders." But every command came too late. By the time he saw the incoming fleet, 2 stations were already gone. By the time he ordered counterfire, 6 more fell. He looked at the screen, eyes wide. "This isn't war," he whispered. "This is execution." Years ago, in the same chamber where Raylan now stood, a council ambassador had once warned them. A soft-spoken figure named Elharn. He had just returned from Earth after failed peace talks. He had begged the council to listen. "They're walking. Away not because they are weak," Elharn had said. "They're walking away because they don't believe in this peace anymore." But the others had laughed, called him dramatic, foolish. "They need us," one counselor had said. Elharn had stared at them, quiet, broken. "You don't understand," he'd whispered. "They are preparing." Now that warning came true. The council chamber was nearly empty. Those who once sat in high seats were now scattered, hiding, running, or already dead. A council world in the outer rim tried something bold. Its leaders gathered and sent a message. "We offer full surrender, no resistance. We beg for mercy." There was no reply. A day later, that planet's communication grid went dark. No explosions, no war, just silence, and no one ever heard from that world again. In the ruins of a forgotten archive world, a system long abandoned by humans, a machine stirred to life. Deep underground, behind metal doors and buried codes, an ancient AI blinked on. Its voice was not loud, but it echoed with power. "You unlocked fear," it said to the empty halls. "Now face its creators." The AI had waited for centuries, programmed only to activate when the final protocols triggered, the V protocols. It scanned the galaxy. The humans were executing the plan, not to win, not for control, but to make sure no one ever dared again. Above the planet Vereen, a civilian station floated helplessly. The Council had promised protection, but now no ships came, no soldiers arrived. Families huddled inside, watching stars vanish as the human fleet spread through the sky. The children didn't cry, the adults did. And then, for a moment, everything froze. Not from human firepower, but from the sudden stop of something older. In the very center of the galaxy, where the Council's grand station orbited a golden sun, all systems blinked. The largest station in known space, home to the High Council, thousands of years old, untouchable. It had never gone dark, until now. It began with a flicker, lights failed, then screens, then airlocks sealed. Emergency systems didn't engage. Every door locked at once. Communication died. Outside, no ships approached. Inside, no one could move. No escape, no light, no sound, just silence. Counselors screamed. Guards pounded on doors. Lights blinked once, then off. From above the station, a human ship hovered. Its design was alien to the Council. Smooth, black, built not to impress but to erase. From its underbelly, a signal fired. Not a weapon, just a code. Inside the Council station, a voice played. Not human, not angry, just calm. You were warned. And then, nothing. No explosions, no wreckage, just darkness. The most powerful symbol of the galaxy's rule, gone. One of the last diplomats, Kailari, watched it happen from a refugee vessel far away, her eyes wide, breath held. She remembered what her mentor told her once, long ago. Peace is not the absence of war, it is the presence of respect. Now, she realized, the galaxy had given humans neither, and this was the price. The Council didn't fall in one day. It fell long ago, when it believed humanity would forget. But humans hadn't forgotten. They had remembered everything, and they had prepared. The stars around the Council core were silent now. The once busy trade lanes were empty. No patrols, no diplomatic envoys. Only wreckage drifted through the void, forgotten pieces of a civilization that thought itself eternal. Then a single ship appeared. It did not arrive with weapons raised or shields flared. It came slowly, silently, and alone. Its shape was simple. No flags, no markings, no sign of pride or conquest. Just cold, dark steel. The same ship that had once vanished and reappeared inside a Council world's defenses now hovered above the ruins of the Council core. From every satellite, from every emergency relay left untouched, a signal lit up. Across the galaxy, screens blinked on. Every species, every station, every ship still functioning saw the same thing. A single man in a simple uniform, standing on the bridge of the human vessel. He did not speak with rage. He spoke with grief. "We asked for peace," he said, his voice calm, eyes steady. "You answered with silence." And then the screen changed. There was no music, no colors, just a series of images, like memories no one wanted to see again. A Council warship, firing into a human aid vessel during peace talks. A child crying as her planet, a neutral colony, was blockaded because it housed human refugees. A Council official, shaking hands with a human ambassador, smiling, then signing a secret order to cut human supply lines moments later. A human general standing still, surrounded by Council troops, weaponless, then falling as energy bolts riddled his chest. The images moved faster. Families evacuating Earth, not in panic, but with purpose. A human diplomat standing outside a Council chamber door, waiting, until he slowly turned and walked, away for the last time. Then came silence. Then came a single tear running down the cheek of a human scientist as she locked away the last of the V protocols. "We gave you centuries," the voice continued. "Time to learn, time to grow, time to stand beside us. But every time we reached out, you pulled away. Every time we offered peace, you prepared war." A quiet breath. "You feared what we could do if we ever stopped trying." Then the screen showed the burning stars of the frontier systems, those that had vanished without wreckage, without survivors. Not destroyed, cleared, made empty, and then rebuilt, off the galactic map, silent, stronger than before. "We disappeared not because we were defeated," the man said. "We disappeared because we wanted to spare you." Another image appeared. Earth, not, as it had once been, broken and scarred, but restored, lush, alive, surrounded by fleets the Council never knew existed. The camera pulled back to show other human colonies, silent and powerful, thriving, hidden. "We built again. Without you, and we came back, not for revenge, but to end the lie." The screen turned black. In a far part of the galaxy, a young alien diplomat named Revka sat alone in a forgotten outpost. Her world was gone, her family lost, but she had survived. She had always believed humans were not monsters. That they were wounded, yes, but not lost. Now she understood. The broadcast ended. No more words followed, no demands, no conditions, just silence. And the humans were gone again. They did not take planets. They did not hold the core. They simply left. World. By world, ships disappeared, bases shut down, no traces left behind. Even their old allies, the ones who had begged for help, received nothing. Not anger, not comfort, just absence. The galaxy tried to rise again. It tried to form a new council, new rules, new ideas. But every conversation, every plan, was haunted by one truth: they had been warned, and they had not listened. Years passed. The core was rebuilt, though not as grand. Small governments formed. Trade returned, but fear remained. Not of war, of silence. Because silence meant the humans might return. One day, while sorting through old records, Revka found it, buried deep inside the final transmission from the human ship. It wasn't part of the main message. It was hidden, like a whisper at the very end. She played it. One sentence, quiet, final. "We won't return until you understand what peace truly means."